Hey Carnivore fans, it's time for another top 5 video. Now last time we did a top 5 cars we buy for $100,000 each, and we enjoyed that challenge so much that we thought, why don't we do this again, but let's make it a little bit harder, let's make it $50,000 each. And Walter, one of the things I found interesting about doing this is when you choose a $100,000 limit for each car, you're ruling out some of the high-end cars, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, the Rolls Royces, but you can still afford some Porsches and some high-end BMWs and things like that. But once you get down to 50,000, suddenly you're ruling out a lot of Porsches, you're ruling out the M3s and the RS5s and cars like that, and it really makes it kind of a challenge to come up with 5 cars that have some performance and cars that you want to own. I don't know if you have that same experience.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you have unlimited money, even if it's just dream money, you know, yeah, the sky's the limit. You can pick anything, but yeah, when you have limitations, yeah.
Yeah, you have to really think about what you want. So I guess with that in mind, why don't you kick us off?
So the first vehicle I came up with was the Ford Focus RS, and this has 350 pounds of torque, 350 horsepower, comes with manual transmission, all-wheel drive, weighs 3,400 pounds, 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds.
That's pretty quick.
And the price, only 36 grand.
Yeah, it's a great price. A lot of car for the money.
Yeah, a lot of performance and a lot of car for the money.
Well, now I'm kind of regretting the car I went with because I thought about going for the Focus, but I went a slightly different direction. So for my first car, those who have watched the videos before know that I have a VW GTI, which I love. And so I thought to myself, well, why don't I get a brand new GTI? I mean, what's better than that? I love this car. I think in many ways it's, you know, a perfect all-round car, practicality, affordability, performance. I think it's got reserved presence. It doesn't look too flashy, but people who are in the know noticed it. So I thought, what's better than a GTI? And the car I came up with was the Golf R, which is technically better than a GTI. So this is a perfect car for the $50,000 budget. It's like the GTI. It has a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. But whereas the GTI has 220 horsepower, the R has 292 horsepower, 0 to 60, 5.2 seconds. And the other big difference is the R is all-wheel drive. Now I'm starting to feel like I made the wrong choice though, because it's not quite as quick as the Focus. But you know, I'm loyal to the Volkswagen brand, so I'm okay with that. And it comes in at $40,000 and change.
So Miles, I have to tell you that I originally had the Volkswagen R on my list, and once I had the Ford Focus, I said, why do I need 2 hatchbacks? So out the R went.
I know, I was going to pick the Focus, and I thought, you know, the Fords are so common. You know, this is such a common car. I bet Walter's going to go for that, so that's why.
Yeah, it's such a good car. Yeah, I mean, come on, it's a common good car.
You know, those that know what the real best car is.
Okay, 0 to 60, I'll say bye-bye to you. That's
all right, fine. We still got 4 cars to go.
All right, so my next one is a Ford Mustang, another Ford.
All right.
435 horsepower, 400 pounds of torque, weighs 3,800 pounds, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. Another pretty fast car.
That's quick.
Costs 38 grand. I read that the 2018 model is going to be a little bit quicker, just slightly over 4 seconds. That's pretty fast.
That's pretty quick.
And for less than 40 grand too. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, not bad.
The other interesting thing that I wanted to note too was that I was seriously considering buying a 2016 Ford GT350.
Okay.
And that comes in like at 4.1 seconds. That costs about 60 grand.
Right.
You could get a 2018 regular GT for about 40 grand.
Yeah.
So 2/3 the cost.
Right, for practically the same performance.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That's not bad. But I went a slightly different direction on my second car. I thought about the Ford Mustang. I also thought about the Challenger. But I ended up going for a Camaro. And I think you just said that the Mustang is 4.3 seconds, 0 to 60. Yeah, the Camaro is 4.1. So I've got you beat on this one.
But Miles, you are a little bit slower reacting. So
well, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm mentally a little bit slower, so it all balances out. So for the Camaro, for the money, you can get a 6.2-litre V8 engine, 6-speed, 455 horsepower, 455 pound-feet of torque. It's actually the same engine they have in the Corvette, so it's a pretty legit engine. Wow. You know, and the reason I went for the Camaro over the Challenger and over the Mustang, we recently drove a Challenger. I like that car a lot in a lot of ways, but for me it's more of an old school muscle car than a real sports car. And I think the Mustang is a great car, but I think the Camaro just looks a little bit better with some of the optional packs you can get on the outside. For me, it just has the edge there. But it's a pretty impressive car. 42,000, just under 43,000 for the SS trim level. You get power seats, heated seats, dual zone climate control, Bose audio system. So I think it's a pretty good car, and it's really quick, for the price point.
So as you had mentioned, Miles, we drove a Dodge Challenger. Well, I came up with the Dodge Challenger TA 392. So this is the 8-cylinder. We test drove the 6-cylinder,
right,
and we both agreed that 8-cylinder would have been a better choice.
That's where you need to be, I think, with those cars. Yeah, for sure.
At 45 grand, this has a 485 horsepower engine with 475 pounds of torque. Gas mileage is 15 city and 25 highway.
Wow.
So the only bad thing with this car is it's portly at 4,300 pounds.
I was going to say 480 horsepower is about 480 feet long as well. But, but it is a good-looking car, I will admit. I think of the three, it's probably the best looking.
Yeah, we both agreed that the Challenger was a good car. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, good choice. So for my next car, I wanted to go for something a little bit practical. When we did the $100,000 list, we both chose a Range Rover. But for this list, I chose the Porsche Macan, which we both are a fan of. I think it looks great. And to be fair, this car is priced at $47,800, so it's right there under the limit. I'm not really going to get any options for this price range. But I think you're getting a lot of car for the money anyway. It's a Porsche after all, so it's got the usual refinement and build quality that you would expect. 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo engine, 252 horsepower, 0 to 60, 6.3 seconds. So it's not lightning quick, but for a big SUV, I think it's quick enough. All-wheel drive. And to be fair, this car does not have the most cargo space of the cars in this range. It is one of the smaller cabin spaces, but it's also a smaller SUV, which I personally appreciate. I don't want a huge Escalade or kind of that huge kind of SUV. So for me, I think this is a pretty good car for that category.
And what did you say the MSRP was?
It's 47,800 starting out at.
Not bad.
And Porsche are notorious for their options, so once you start adding those, you're going to double that. But
yeah.
But for this, you just get the base model.
Well, that's interesting. You came up with that because what I came up with next was a Jeep Rubicon. So
interesting.
Very, very capable off-road vehicle. 44K gives you a 285 horsepower engine with 260 pounds of torque. It's a 4-door and it's a Jeep. Do I need to say more? That helped conquer Nazi Germany.
Right,
that's all I gotta say.
Right, absolutely. Well, that's a good choice, Walter. In fact, it's such a good choice that my next car is the Jeep Wrangler. We've got to stop doing this. So for me, I wanted a convertible, and one of the problems I have with convertibles a lot of times is they take a perfectly good-looking car and they chop the roof off, and you kind of end up ruining the lines of the car, and it just never looks as good. So I wanted a car that is a convertible from the start, a car that you probably can just leave the roof off altogether all year round, especially in our Southern California climate where it never rains, it's warm, you don't really need to worry about putting a roof up. So I went for the Jeep Wrangler. It's the smaller version, it's the 2-door. I really like that you can leave the roof off this car. I like that you can take the doors off, you can even get the small half doors. It just makes it more of a utility vehicle. And they start at $23,000, actually about just under $24,000. But if you go up to the Rubicon level, you're probably taking that up another $10,000, $15,000, but you get more options. It's got a 3.6 litre V6 engine, 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. It's got 4-wheel drive, locking differential. As you said, Walter, these cars are bulletproof and they can really handle themselves off-road. So I think this would be a fun car to own.
All right, for my last vehicle is the Jaguar FPace Premium. So this has almost 300 horsepower as well as torque. The 0 to 60 is 5.7 seconds, pretty fast. It also has all-wheel drive. And it comes in at just under 50 grand. So probably the only negative with this vehicle is it's probably light by SUV standards, heavy by vehicle standards. It comes in at about 3,900 pounds.
So for my final choice, I wanted to get a sedan. I toyed around with a lot of different cars here. I thought about the Giulier and I thought about various other cars, BMWs and so on. But I wanted to go for something a little bit different that you don't necessarily see every day. So I went for the Audi A5 Sportback. So this is basically the Audi A5 with 4 doors and a hatchback on the back. Now, I'm not completely convinced about the look of this car. I think that the hood has some weird lines on it. It looks a little bit kind of bulbous, and the back looks a little bit scrunched in. But I kind of like the style of these cars. It's like a four-door coupe. I think the lines generally look pretty good. So this has a turbocharged four-cylinder engine, 252 horsepower, 0 to 60, 5.6 seconds. Again, not lightning quick, but quick enough for a four-door sedan. All-wheel drive also. And if you go for the prestige trim level, you're going to get the Audi's virtual cockpit, which we have seen in person, which is really, really cool. It's the completely virtual screen instead of dials. CarPlay, full LED headlights, keyless start and stop, heated front seats, driver memory, Bang & Olufsen stereo. So there's a bunch of really cool options that you can get on this car. Now, I do have to come clean, Walter. I have cheated slightly. This car is going to cost $50,200. So I did go slightly over the budget, but hopefully I can appeal to the dealer's good nature, and they'll knock $200 off the cost of that car, and I can drive it home.
Well, Miles, that's an interesting choice. I'm not sure I would put that vehicle under best vehicles under 50 grand.
All right, well, you don't have to ride in it, it's fine.
Well, you know, Audi, we have a mutual friend that has an Audi, and he's had a lot of problems with his vehicle, so I'm not sure about, I mean, maybe he just got a lemon, but yeah. I'm just not sure about Audi. Also, my sister owns an Audi. She's had good luck with hers, but yeah, the reliability is kind of questionable. All right, so that concludes this segment of Carnivore.
Absolutely, and if you like the video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up down below, subscribe, put any comments, anything else you want to see us do, any other top 5 ideas or cars you want to see us review. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Take care.